to go over how to create and convert a shadow session. So first you're going to start on your own page and you're going to go down to scheduling. You are then going to find view my calendar. You're going to then put into your calendar the date and time of your shadowing session. So for example, if my shadowing session was Monday, February 26th at 9 a.m., I'm going to find that date on my calendar, click 9 a.m., create an appointment on, I'm going to click yes, and I'm going to make sure my details are right. I'm going to make sure I have the right date, the right time, the time ending of my session. Let's say I do 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Make sure you have the correct time zone, and continue to scroll down until you find appointment with. Here you are going to click or put in patient test, and then go down to appointment type. Then you're going to find shadowing. You'll continue to scroll down until you see authorization and billing. You are going to click the add button, and then you will click 97153 RBT shadowing admin. Click use this. Scroll all the way down and press create appointment. After, click view a calendar. What you will see is that the appointment you just created shows up in your calendar. Now at the last 15 minutes of session, you are going to convert your shadowing session. You do this by going to your calendar, hitting the lightning bolt, scrolling all the way down until you see new note. You're then going to see an option for header or main section. You want to click main section. You will then fill in your progress note, specifically paying attention to the red boxes. So here we want to make sure we have our tech. We check that off. We have the client because they're always going to be participants in session. You're going to put in the caregiver's name. So we'll call our caregiver Anna. Next, I'm going to sign off on client sign/symptoms observed. So for example, if you observed your client engaging in expressive and receptive communication deficits, I would check off that box. If you observe your client engaging in social communication deficits, I would check that box. And you will go down the list for the remainder of that section. You will then move over to evidence-based interventions used. So if you saw during your shadow session that antecedent-based interventions were used, you would check it off. If you saw that differential reinforcement was used, you would check it off. You're always going to use naturalistic interventions in the home-based setting, so I'm always going to check that off. And you're always going to use reinforcement, so I'm always going to check that off. Next, you're going to go down to where it says Select Session Summary. This is where we're putting data into our session note. I'm going to click that area, and what's going to come up is I'm going to make sure I'm selecting the date of my session, and you're going to see what appears as your session. I'm going to make sure I have the right start date and end date, okay? And then I'm going to click that box and press continue. That's going to then populate the data from that session into my session note. I am then going to put in a session description. We want to make sure this session description provides us a strong narrative of what happened during session. So for example, you might put something like this. Session started with the client having a snack. During this time, the therapist worked with the client on manding for more goldfish and manding for more drink. After snack, the therapist worked with the client on completing DTT skills such as color identification, personal identification, and teaching common day objects. Client was able to attend, however, did require prompting in the form of model prompts to complete tacting of common day objects. Client and therapist then went outside where client played on swings. Therapist used NET to have client man for actions and tacked items in the environment, such as tree, house, and bird. When instructed to go inside, client engaged in tantrum behavior for a duration of 5 minutes. Therapist implemented planned ignoring and redirected the client to man for 1 more minute. After 1 more minute, client was able to comply with the instruction and go inside and get ready for dinner. As you can see, that note provides a strong description of what the client engaged in during the session, problem behavior that occurred, and what you did when problem behavior occurred. Afterwards, you're going to make sure that you sign as the provider, and that you get the parent signature. You want to make sure you are getting the parent signature as well as signing during the last 15 minutes of session. You are then going to go to Save and Close, and then you will go to Submit. You will now see that in your calendar, it went from blue to striped, which suggests that my appointment or my progress note was successfully submitted.